As we head into the weekend, one thing is in universal agreement that the president can do an eviction moratorium executive order. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is, afternoons. This is Afternoons LA Light. Hope you're good and safe. This is rent eviction notification, modification, and all those wonderful things. Our fourth video every day on Afternoons LA Light that starts with a check at 3:30, goes to hazard pay at 4, then FPUC at 4:30, and finally rent issues at 5. There's one agreement today. Well, there's an agreement that these members of Congress are not going to be back. I mean, no one's going to vote them back in, but there is another agreement that the president can issue an executive order to give you an eviction moratorium to ensure that you stay in your apartment, can issue an eviction executive order to ensure you keep your home, mortgage forbearance executive order, can issue an executive order to ensure you don't lose your apartment building or commercial building by executive order. That's the agreement. The president has said he wants to do it. Mark Meadows has said he wants to do it. Steve Mnuchin says he wants to do it. And Nancy Pelosi said he can't do it. Of course, who was the first to tell you he could do it? The guy in the purple shirt from last week. The president is now offering and suggesting executive orders as a solution to the second stimulus check impasse. Here's the breaking details for this afternoon. No second stimulus check deal is likely to be formulated as of now, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast, as negotiations really hit a blockade. The parties involved met this morning for, again, a 2-hour mini negotiation window, which no one's calling like a lot of work. Why? They just meet for 2 hours. And they emerged from the negotiations to say actually worse stuff than they've said this entire week. The latest version was from Steve Mnuchin, who says, I'm not coming back unless they give me a better offer. I'm done. Nancy Pelosi said much the same thing. Unless the Republicans come back with more money, I'm done. And it comes less than 24 hours after Mitch McConnell started this I'm done mantra. He had promised early in the week that Senate leaders and Senate members would remain in Congress, remain in session, until the second stimulus package deal is done. I'm not sending them home. Well, yesterday he says, I'm done. They can all go home. I'll keep them in session, which doesn't mean he's not adjourning it, but he says they all can go home, and I'll call them back only when I have to call them back. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Suddenly, everyone's done. While your landlord's not done with you, they're ready to evict you. Your mortgage lender, your bank is not done with you, they're ready to foreclose on you. The bank's not done with their problems. They're taking up mortgage properties they don't want to have, and they're facing liquidity problems. They're not done. And then there's the lender that provides the money to the banks to do the mortgage in the first place, and they're worried the bank is going to go under on them in September. They're not done. So why are these people just giving up? It's really not clear, but what's very clear is you're paying them to give up. You're paying them to go home. Maybe you should just not pay them any more money. Maybe there should be an act of Congress to stop paying the acts of Congress that they're not acting very well about. Rent eviction can and possibly will have a gleaming moment of truth potentially this weekend. The president has vowed to issue an executive order to have an eviction moratorium and a mortgage forbearance. The question is whether he'll do what he says. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about one person or another. They've all been at fault. Everyone has said they would do something in this group, and no one has done what they've said. Nancy and Mitch have said they stay in town until they'll get it done. They have not. Steve Mnuchin yesterday said that he and Nancy reached an agreement that they would get this done today, which they're not. Steve Mnuchin last week said that there would be a deal last week, which there was not. Mark Meadows said that if he doesn't have his way, the president will issue executive orders on everything, which he can't. So what's going on here? I mean, It's like they're at Baskin Robbins and can't decide what type of 31 flavors they want to choose from. I want to taste every 30 all the I said 30 flavors. I want to taste all 31 flavors, and I'll make a decision for you. Just make a damn decision. Get the money out. Rent evictions and moratoriums were agreed upon early in the process. That's the great news, and it certainly confirms my reporting. Last Friday, I reported that eviction moratoriums and mortgage forbearances was an agreed-upon provision of the second stimulus package. I said, hey, we have an agreement upon it. It is there. It is done. I confirmed that all this week, and today it was basically confirmed as well. It was confirmed yesterday morning as well by Nancy Pelosi on CNBC. What was not agreed upon was the free rent money in which the federal government would give money to tenants to pay their landlords, and would give money to landlords to pay their mortgages if they couldn't make these bills during the pandemic. That was a lot of money, and it was not agreed upon, and Nancy confirmed it was not agreed upon. The question is, how much money was it, and did the Republicans refuse to offer a penny? We don't know. The part of how separated apart these were has not been revealed with detail. It's been revealed with broad stroke elements. Mitch McConnell yesterday said the parties were apart by $1 trillion, the Democrats and the Republicans. That's progress, because they initially were apart by $2 trillion. It's like, LA, that's just so much money. $1 trillion, then $2 trillion. It's like, get it done. Like, what's wrong with them? Well, they made progress. They went from $2 trillion to $1 trillion. Then Nancy today said they were apart by a couple $100 billion. So if everyone is telling us the truth, which we really don't know anymore, who's telling us the truth of any of these people, they were a trillion apart yesterday. Now they're a couple $100 billion apart, which is smaller. I know these are just big numbers. These are, Steve Jobs numbers and, Michael Dell type of money. They're just a lot of zeros apart, but they made progress. And in there, Nancy delineated for us in a memo, not to me, but to her colleagues in the Congress, why she couldn't make a deal and where they were on the deal and how far apart they were. She indicated that they were very far apart on money to states. That money to states includes that second prong that I've always talked about in the rent videos, which is grants states give to its citizens for rent. If you were watching my videos last week, I talked about New York, which had a grant program to give money to its citizens under the first stimulus package. If you recall, under the first stimulus package, it gave money to states to disperse to its citizens for grant money. Every state had it. Some states had more money than others. And so New York launched their program last week. Last week, LA ended their program. But they needed more money. Texas was under fire this week, if you saw my report earlier this week, where they offered their grant money, but it was very little. It was just like, it was nothing. It was just pocket change. So they said, hey, we need more money. Well, Nancy said that her proposal, the Democrats' proposal, was $900 million, or billions. Gazillions. I just don't know which one it is. It's 900. And the Republicans offered 180. So they were apart by about $700, $800 billion. Yeah, it was billion. About $700, $800 billion. So that certainly consumed the disparity between the two parties. So then how much apart were they on rent money? We don't know. Ultimately, what you need to be informed about is that the situation is troubling if you're facing eviction. I have some viewers who are sending me their eviction notices. I see them. It means that we do not have anything currently. Now, and this is so important as we're at the 8-minute mark of this video. This is so important. The president has vowed, and the president can, under the Constitution, issue an executive order to block evictions immediately across this country. And he's vowed he's going to do it. So will he do it on his Friday evening eviction executive order, delineation? If you don't know, the president tends to issue a lot of executive orders on a Friday night. He just has always done that. I just don't know why. He just does it. And so would he do it tonight? Would he do it tomorrow morning? It would be great news if he does. It's absolutely legal. It's absolutely needed. I've urged for it for over a week. Nancy Pelosi came out and said he can do it. Mark Meadows says he will. Steve Mnuchin says he will. I hope he does. Of everything that's in the second stimulus package, that's the only thing he can issue an executive order for. He can't do it for anything else because he can't order the Treasury to send out money. Spending of money is required by an act of Congress. It's under the Constitution. If he does it, there'll be a lawsuit right away. Chuck Schumer says it'll block it. He can't do it. But he can do an eviction moratorium. That's what's great news here. So if he does it, then what does that mean for you? It means you could potentially be saved. Now, how do we find out this? How do we know what's going to happen? And I'm not pitching you anything. I'm just saying let's stay as a community, let's stay tight, and let's stay focused. There's at the front of this channel a subscribe button and an alert button. Hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell next to it that says alert, because if something happens at, let's say, 10 o'clock at night, and I hear it, I will send out a message on the community section of this channel, and I'll say, here's the executive order, and I can copy and paste the entire text of an executive order. I may not sit down and record a video at 11 o'clock at night, but if it, I can certainly copy and text and put in the entire text for you, and you'll see it. These type of things are very, very important, because if you're going Monday morning to a hearing for an eviction and you have an executive order issue on a Friday night, it could literally stop everything. Or it may be very critical what the wording of the eviction order is. What are you talking about, LLA? Well, the issue is that there was some chatter. We don't know where the chatter came from, but there was some chatter that said maybe the eviction order will only cover HUD housing. Only HUD housing? Yeah. Would maybe not cover all types of apartments or all types of houses. Maybe only HUD mortgages or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mae or federally backed mortgages. May not cover private mortgages. May not cover private, normal landlord-tenant conditions. I don't know. I don't know what this president wants to do. He hasn't been inherently clear about details. Mark Meadows hasn't helped. And Steve Mnuchin has been sort of inconsistent. So when it comes out, if it does, which I hope it really does, I really hope for you it does. I mean, this would be incredibly great news. We'll see what it says. Until then, it's a big guessing game. Coming up next after this is Evenings LLA. Big updates about the check and the EIDL starting at 6:45 Pacific Standard Time. As always, stay motivated, stay inspired, stay positive, and stay with LA for more.